All right, today we're going to dive into something really fascinating, those invisible forces that kind of shape our relationships. It's all about the science of how we manage our feelings, not just when we're alone, but with other people. Let's get into it.
Okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever been there? You call a friend, you're ready to just let it all out, hoping to feel better, but somehow you hang up the phone feeling even more spun up than when you started. Why on earth does that happen? Well, it turns out there's a really powerful social dynamic going on.
And that dynamic, where you end up feeling worse after trying to get support, it is not just in your head. It's a real thing. Psychologists call it the emotion feedback loop. It's this process that's always running in the background, where we're constantly influencing how other people feel and they're influencing us, often without us even realizing it.
Now, the fancy scientific term for all this is interpersonal emotion regulation, or you'll see it as IER. All it really means is the way we manage our feelings through our interactions with other people. But, and this is the most important part, this influence can go both ways. It can lift us up, or it can drag us down, making our relationships a source of comfort or a source of even more stress.
I think this is the perfect way to picture it. It's like a dance. When it's going well, you and the other person are perfectly in sync. You feel supported, you feel understood. But when it goes wrong, it just feels like you're constantly stepping on each other's toes, and it just creates more frustration.
So, what happens when that dance goes wrong? Let's talk about how our best intentions can sometimes completely backfire. We're going to explore those common moments where our attempts to help someone actually end up hurting them. Okay, you're probably going to recognize some of these. First, there's excessive reassurance-seeking. That's when you just need to hear it's going to be okay over and over again. Then there's venting without any kind of resolution. That just keeps you amped up. Emotional avoidance. Well, that's when you or your friend just shuts down. And then there's co-rumination. That's my favorite. It's when you both get stuck in this negative spiral, just talking about the problem again and again and again, without ever getting anywhere.
And please don't think this stuff is trivial. These aren't just little conversational quirks. They can have a serious impact on our mental health. There's a ton of research that shows a really strong link between these patterns and things like anxiety and depression, because they don't solve distress, they actually feed it.
This chart just lays out the difference perfectly. See, on the left, you have healthy support seeking. The goal there is connection, it's getting a new perspective, and the outcome, you actually build resilience. But on the right, with excessive reassurance seeking, the goal is totally different. It's just about getting a quick, temporary hit of relief from your anxiety. The outcome, it makes you more dependent, not less. It's a really subtle difference, but it is so critical.
So that kind of begs the question, right? If these patterns are so unhelpful, where do they even come from? Well, here's the thing. We're not born this way. We learn these habits over time, and, understanding where they started is really the first step to changing them. Think about it. Our whole life is a training ground for this. When we're kids, our parents basically regulate our emotions for us. You cry, they soothe you. But then, when we're teenagers, that shifts, right? It becomes all about our friends. And then as adults, hopefully, we learn how to build these really balanced, mutual relationships. But any kind of disruption along that timeline can set up habits that last for years.
And this leads to maybe the most important takeaway I want you to have. If you recognize yourself in some of these unhelpful patterns, it is not a character flaw, it is not a personal failure. Far more often than not, these are just learned patterns that we picked up from our past experiences.
But here is the most hopeful part of this whole thing. If these patterns are learned, it means they can be unlearned. So let's talk about how we can start to actively rewire our connections and build healthier ones. And that really is the heart of it. That's the good news. We absolutely have the ability to learn new skills, to build better, more supportive relationships that actually improve our lives. And there are actual toolkits out there for this stuff. For example, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, teaches you skills to reframe your thoughts. Dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, is all about finding a healthy balance in how you express yourself. And interpersonal therapy, IPT, it just zooms right in on improving how you manage emotions within your closest relationships.
Okay, so let's put the science aside for a second. What can you do right now? I want you to think of this next part as your own personal emotional first aid kit. We're going to break down a really practical framework you can start using today.
It's a simple 4-step process, and it's a great place to start. First, just awareness. That's it. Just start noticing your patterns. What triggers you? Who do you call?
Second, skill building. Actively try to learn a new strategy, like maybe reframing a situation in your head before you pick up the phone. Third, practice. And yeah, it might feel silly, but even role-playing a better conversation in your head can help. And last, reflection. Take a second to notice what's working and give yourself credit for the progress you're making.
So, as we wrap up, I just want to leave you with this question to chew on. After everything we've talked about, from that social dance to these new toolkits, what is just one emotional pattern, one little habit that you want to understand a little bit better in your own life? Because just asking that question, that's the first step. Thanks so much for joining me.